Hello, everybody. My name is Erica Elizabeth Hannah. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. I have been requested, not even requested, just everybody has always told me, Erica, start a podcast. Erica, I need advice. Erica, can you listen to what happened to me? I need your advice. Erica, what should I do? So, I finally made it a thing to sit in front of my MacBook and talk to you about things I have learned. And this first video is dedicated to knowing who the fuck you are. It is titled Know Who You Are, or someone who thinks they know who you are will tell you who you are. In my very short life of living, I have realized that it is so important to know who you are. Know your soul, know your own mind, know your heart, know your desires, know what you want out of life, know everything of who you are. Because when you know who you are, no one can tell you who they think you are. I have spent probably the last 2 solid years alone, fully alone. Didn't go out much, don't have many friends, spend a lot of time in nature, hang out with my dog a lot, focus on my career, focus on my craft. And it's really taught me, it's really allowed me to get to know who I am from the inside out. It's really allowed me to get to know what my heart desires are. It's really allowed me to hear my own guidance from my higher self. It's really allowed me to get to know my own mind and know how programmed I was. It's really allowed me to come into radical self-acceptance and still working on radical self-love. Let's put this into example. So, we live on planet Earth. We are all connected in some way through the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness is connected through our mind. A great example of this is, have you ever been around a friend and you say something out loud and they're like, I was just thinking that? Yeah, it's because our minds are connected. So, if you don't know your own mind, if you don't know yourself, you will allow other people's perception of you to be believed by you. So if you have people in your life who are haters, low-key haters, maybe they congratulate you in front of your face, but then they go behind your back and say things that are not that nice, maybe they're not happy for your success, you're going to believe those things about yourself. You're going to think that's your soul telling you that's the truth of who you are. And it's not. It's absolutely not. Since we are all connected through the mind, it's so important to get to know who you are at a soul level. What your heart desires. Because if you don't know who you are at a soul level, if you don't get to know your own heart, your own soul, your own spirit, you're going to allow your mind to control your life. And it should be the other way around. You are in control of your mind. You are in control of your mind, not the other way around. Because if your mind is in control of you, we have a big problem there. Because through childhood trauma, through growing up in society at large, there is a lot of density in this planet. There's a lot of ugly and harsh things that happen here. This place is a war zone, essentially. What I've heard in the spiritual community, which I'm not really a part of, but I am very spiritual. I lead my life with purpose. I lead from my heart center. I lead from my higher self, my spirit. My higher self is in the driver's seat. My ego is in the passenger seat, not the other way around. And what I've learned in my awakening process, I've learned that if your mind is the one, your ego, is the one in the driver's seat, it's going to be a tough fucking ride. And it's already meant to be a tough fucking ride. It's already gonna be a tough fucking ride. So wouldn't you want to make it as easy as possible? Wouldn't you want to have the easiest, effortless, abundant, purposeful, intentional life that you deserve? I know I do. I know we all do. So that's why it's so important to get to know who you are at a spiritual soul level. Because when you know who you are, you won't allow anybody who thinks they know who you are tell you who you are. So what have I done to get here? I have, one, spent enormous times alone. I think I'd rather be alone at this point, unless you're bringing an energy better than me being alone. And that doesn't happen quite often. It's actually quite rare. So by being alone, I've gotten to know my own programs that my mind was telling me, a lot of self-worth issues that stem from my childhood trauma, a lot of doubtful thoughts, a lot of things that I'm not good enough, I will never be successful, I'm not pretty, I'm not worthy, I will always have a hard life, I will always be broke. That's what my mind was telling me. My mind was telling me all these things. And at a point in my life, I believed it to be true because I didn't know any better. I didn't know that our mind was a separate entity from our soul. I didn't know that. When I had my first spiritual awakening in 2012, and then a massive other one in 2017 after my dad passed away, I really made a commitment to myself to love myself wholeheartedly throughout my life, but especially to fake it until I made it a reality, until it was set in stone. Today I can say I love myself so much. Of course there are times that I struggle with, even right now I'm going through a very hard time in my life, but I have the perspective of this is just initiation, and this is happening for the betterment of my evolution here on earth, and this is happening so maybe I do get in front of the camera and I finally speak the wisdom that the universe, God, my higher self channels through me. Sometimes shit needs to hit the fan before things start moving in your life, before you start taking that action. But getting to know yourself is so important. It really is. Because then you can never allow anybody to tell you who they think you are. Because you know who you are. You know what you bring to the table. You know what you're worthy of. You know what you're capable of. You know who you are at your soul level. And then when you know who you are at your soul level, you have the capacity, the potential to allow your human avatar to match that, what your soul signature is. I speak with my hands also. It's the top and the sleeves. So another great example. I spent enormous times alone. I spent enormous times alone. I'm telling you, a solid 2 years fully alone, almost every day, with the exception of seeing my sisters, once a week. Thankfully, I had my doggy Miles, who is literally my best friend, and I adore him so much. But things started moving really fast in my career in October of last year, and I needed to hire somebody to help me with my pieces to sew for a client. And growing up, I've had a lot of woundings, but especially when it came to my root chakra. So a lot of sexual abuse, a lot of money limiting beliefs, a lot of lack mentality mindsets, so on and so forth. So above my sewing machine in my previous studio, I had a little altar that had a lot of stones that were to do with the root chakra and pretty much your stability on this earth, your foundation on this earth, And I had a golden money, $100 bill there. So pretty much just for me to remember that I can make a living doing what I love. I'll insert a photo. And I remember I hired this person. And at this point, I was already, I already knew who I was. I already really knew my own mind, knew my own heart, knew my own soul. I knew what thoughts were mine and what thoughts weren't mine. And when this person, I allowed them to just sew at my sewing machine because I needed the help. And I heard a thought, you're obsessed with money. You prioritize money. And when I received that thought, I was like, whoa, that's not true. And I've never even had a thought like that because I'm not obsessed with money. I don't prioritize money. I just have a lot of limiting beliefs about money, so I'm actively trying to work on it. And I knew instantly that was not my thought. And for a second, I stepped out. I was like, hey, I'm going to go step out for a second, whatever. I stepped out and I breathed and I went outside. I went into nature and I just breathed, and I got the download that that was his thought. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And then I realized, okay, he's thinking that because I have money things all over my sewing machine, above my sewing machine, so he's thinking that I'm in it for money. I was like, whatever, no judgment. It's just a projection. People are going to believe what they want to believe about you. And later on that day, they left, whatever, and I was on Instagram and his story popped up. And he wrote something, people who prioritize money are evil or some shit like that. Not exactly word for the word, but something like that. And it was just confirmation that, wow, we are that connected. And if you are an empath, and if you are here for this ascension, which you probably are if you're watching this, you will know that our minds are all connected. That's how we telepathically communicate. We telepathically communicate all the time, but some people are not open to receiving it. But when you're an open vessel, when you meditate, when you open up your third eye, when you're opening up your heart, you're leading from your heart center, you're in your purpose work, that shit will come dropping in like an airdrop. And if you don't have discernment, if you don't know who you are, you're gonna believe that thought to be true. If I didn't know who I was, I would have believed that thought. I would have believed I was an evil monster who prioritized money over everything. I would have believed that. And then it just brought me back to like moments in time where people maybe said I was ugly or this and that. And I believed it. I believed it to be true. I believed, so many things that people would say to me. So that's why it's so important to know who you are. Spend time alone. Spend time with yourself. Go outside in nature. Ask the universe. Talk to your higher self. Talk to your spiritual self. Talk to your higher self. I literally talk to my higher self and I'm like, thank you so much for merging with my body and for being in this driver's seat. Thank you so much for leading the way. Thank you so much for my heart to lead the way. I truly believe our heart is the compass to our higher self, to our spiritual self. And when we allow our heart to lead the way, literally miracles start to happen. it's so important. Like I just can't even like say it enough, because I just used to be so programmed, guys. My mind was filled with so many intrusive thoughts, sickening thoughts, like thoughts that were like disgusting and and like so unworthy. And I literally used to believe them. Like, I feel so bad for my younger self. And you know, when you've had a lot of childhood trauma, you grow up fast. You grow up so fast, you're forced to grow up fast. Your childhood is robbed from you. So, you know, children who had a childhood and didn't grow up with so much trauma have an advantage over you. But that doesn't mean shit. Because you've gained so much strength. You've gained so much compassion. You've gained so much empathy for the fellow humans around you. And that is so priceless. That is your superpower. Having empathy for people's hurt, for people's way of being, even if they hurt you, is such a fucking superpower. And I'm not talking about letting people walk all over you. I'm talking about putting up your boundary because you know your fucking worth and you will never tolerate disrespect. Putting up your boundary, but allowing empathy and your open heart to lead that way, and to never seek revenge, but always seek compassion. Whenever somebody hurts me, I always talk to God, and I'm always, God, please be with them. Please be with their energy. Please be with their spirit. Please send them love. And I pray for them. I never, ever will ever match anybody's energy. Did I used to? Of course. Of course I used to. I was programmed. But through my awakening and through my evolution of self-love, which really is the core to everything, it's allowed me to love myself so much and have so much compassion for myself when I'm not showing up as my best self, and give myself grace. And by doing that for myself, it allows me to do that for others. So, know yourself. Know thyself. Know your higher self, know your spiritual self, but know your shadow self too. Know your programs. Know your triggers. Know your wounds. Know all aspects of you. And when you know yourself wholeheartedly, and you start to love those parts that you once hated, baby, you become unfuckwithable. Literally, you become unfuckwithable. People's projections will literally bounce off of you. You will become a mirror. Their projections will bounce off of you and it will be reflected back onto them. And it's not up to you to make sure that they know, or or they do the work. That's not up to you. What is your duty here on earth is to live authentically, is to be the best version of yourself, is to always choose love and stand strong in your power. Because when you do that, you become a force to be reckoned with. So, know yourself. So people who think they know who you are can never tell you who you are. And so it is. I love you. I hope this helped you. I am really been opening up my throat chakra and really have been preparing for this moment in my career. I do make clothes. Everything I'm wearing right now is all my, should I show you my outfit? My pieces, and That's what I do for a living, but I also am very passionate about self-love and self-concept and manifesting your dream life and all that jazz, and just really diving into shadow work and really merging your higher self with your human self. And for a long time, a lot of people have been telling me, Erica, start a podcast, start a podcast. Erica, start a podcast, or Erica, I need your advice. Erica, can you hop on a call? And you know what? My intention is just to help one person and to inspire. And if it just helps one person and inspires one person, I've done my job. And this is like my way of giving back to the world. Not planning on doing any readings. I'm not planning on doing any courses or anything like that. Like, I truly do plan to just use my channel for my art, create pieces, but also allow my throat chakra to be used and to be, channeled, this wisdom that the universe shares with me. So I'm honored to be here. My alarm's going off in the back. If you hear it, I'm so sorry. I love you. You are doing the best. You are the best. You are perfect the way you are. And never let anybody tell you who you are. Make sure you know who you are so nobody could ever tell you otherwise. I love you.